is Joy News Prime.
Now from Kumasi to Amenfi West and from Atimpoku to Berlin, we are bringing the world to your homes on the most comprehensive news package in Ghana. Coming up over the next 2 hours, 3 teacher unions agitating over salary arrears, call of planned strike. The National Democratic Congress has hit back at the flag bearer of the opposition, New Patriotic Party, on his True State of the Nation address, asserting he has no moral right to criticize government. Meanwhile, former President Kufuor says Ghanaians will ultimately decide on November 7 who they believe as far as what the actual state of the nation is.
And in business, Barclays Bank confirms it is selling off its African business. How would that affect you as a customer of the bank? Steve.
And business certainly comes up in the next 30 minutes, but also in the bulletin, former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, in his assessment of Ghana after 59 years of independence, says the country has failed to develop less than a quarter of its potential. Coming up, also in the bulletin, we have entertainment, sports, and Joy News Interactive. It will follow in the second hour. This bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN television on the Sky platform. My name is Israel. Stay tuned. The 3 teacher unions agitating over salary arrears due them from government have called off a planned strike, which should have started from March 1. Apart from their salary arrears, the teachers are demanding the payment of transport, transfer and incremental arrears they say have not been paid for 3 years. The National Union of Graduate Teachers, NIGRAT, Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, and the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, at a joint news conference with the Labour Ministry and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, announced they have decided to suspend the intended action until the completion of the validation exercise, which will determine who should be paid what.
Government last week ordered the release of over 1.7 million cedis to settle part of the 15 million cedis owed the teachers. The Finance Ministry is also requesting the unions to submit forms for validation so the rest of the funds could be released. These gestures, the unions say, demonstrate enough commitment from government. Addressing the news conference, the General Secretary of NAT, David Ofori-Champon, said they intend to allow enough time for a completion of the ongoing validation exercise.
We have taken this course of action because we want our members who have been victims of this policy to have their forms validated and their salary arrears paid. We therefore call on our members to remain calm and continue with our core mandate. We also reiterate all district directors of education to ensure that all such application forms in their custody are forwarded to Ghana Education Service headquarters for onward submission to the validators immediately. As a result of these developments, the teacher unions have suspended the intended industrial action until the completion of the validation exercise.
Government has explained it is unable to pay the teachers because most of the claims being made on government are without merit. Government has explained it is unable to pay the teachers because most of the claims made on government are without merit, thus the need for the vouching of each of them. Out of the 14,000 documents that have been presented, 7,000 have so far been validated and paid. Another 34,000 forms are expected to arrive from the regions. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, GES, Jacob Kaur, says they are overwhelmed with the number of forms that need validation but are hoping to complete on schedule.
I want to believe that due diligence, if it is done, much of the problems that we face will be off. And this is an opportunity for me to sound a word to all who are in management to do their work diligently. We are not here for shoddy work. And so I will task the district directors and the human resource management divisions at all the levels to try after this time, if they are facing even any challenges, they should let us know so that we support them to ensure that all the work that we do it with due diligence. I said earlier on, and people did not understand, when I said, unless the documents are duly processed with all the attachments, payment could not be made. Here we are. I'm happy that we are looking for all those documents to ensure that attachments are made before payments are made. I'm in the interest of the teacher, because without the teacher, we cannot move forward. And therefore, if there are problems concerning teachers, it is all a problem for all of us as management is concerned.
The stakeholders urge teachers and directors in the region to submit the forms in good time to avoid a recurrence of the problem. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News, Accra.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, George Smith-Graham, says some teachers will be prosecuted for presenting fake documents during the validation process. He says the process, which started 5 days ago, has already exposed a rot in the education sector.
The Auditor General, when we see the document, we will see it. And I think that if even the district offices had done the work that they were supposed to do, I mean, Auditor General wouldn't have had the difficulty it is having currently, because if there's a checklist, all we needed to do was to ensure that every single checklist had been met before forwarding the documents here. So now if the documents even get here and we do the checklist and some items that are needed are not there, it means we have to send them back to the districts again. So if even the district officers had done the right thing, the audit service would have had less job to do. But be that is me, we will all make sure that we get the right things and clean the data to zero. And
identified so far?
How many? It will be in our final report. If there are effective HR planning in organizations, we won't see what we are seeing today. It is lack of proper HR planning in organization that brings about these things. Assuming I'm even doing transfer, I should be able to know the amount of money I have to be paying the transfer. If I don't have enough money, I don't go and transfer people that I will not have money to pay. These are all HR planning, and the lack of it in the public service is what sometimes causes this situation. I think that we will take it a step further, look at all the HR systems within the public service, together with the Public Services Commission, probably begin training some of these HR officers and make sure we bring them up to speed, because that is where the challenge basically is. If we find out any illegal thing that has been done, any wrong thing that has been done, the people will be prosecuted. Yeah, but whether there will be prosecution or not, it will depend on being able to be certain that yes, indeed the person has done something wrong. That is what I'm talking about.
Moving on to other stories, the National Democratic Congress has launched a full-scale attack on the New Patriotic Party, accusing it of cooking up figures on corruption. The attack comes after the flag bearer of the opposition NPP on Monday described President Mahama's State of the Nation address as an embarrassing exercise in mediocrity. According to Nana Akufo-Addo, the NDC's fight against corruption is simply a sham. But addressing journalists on Tuesday, General Secretary of the governing party, Johnson Gesidin Ketia, says the NPP is engaging in falsehood.
When it suits Nanado, he goes outside to pick any document and bring it and be flaunting it around as his evidence. And at times too, when he knows that outside information will not help him achieve what he wants to achieve, then he comes home and they manufacture the information here for him and he'll be using it. I'll demonstrate this to you. You see, when Nanado realized that in the area of corruption, our government had persistently been scoring higher and higher and higher in spite of their claim that corruption was exploding. They now are not quoting the report of Transparency International again. They have manufactured their own NGOs here who create reports, and then they put them, they use the reports to compare with their own Transparency International reports when they were in government. So we are not surprised that they will be engaging in this type of thing.
Now, when Mr. Asare Nketia was asked which NGOs he was referring to, he named the Center for Democratic Development and Imani Ghana.
For the local NGOs, you know them. MPP, Delhi Guide, and the other things, they are no longer quoting Transparency International reports. They are quoting the Imanis and the other CDDs, Afrobarometers, and so on. They are running away from Transparency International. And everybody knows where these NGOs are coming from.
So we'd have a reaction from CDD coming up. But the General Secretary of the NDC also questioned the moral authority of Nana Akufo-Addo to criticize President Mahama's leadership skills, especially considering the power struggle that rocked the MPP recently.
In the area of leadership, which is very critical in any presidential elections, at the level of leadership, a cursory assessment of President Mahama's approach to govern and the leadership, or rather lack of it, by Nana Akufo-Addo to the MPP revealed which of these two gentlemen has the capacity to lead this peaceful nation. Whereas President Mahama has taken responsibility for long-standing national problems, some of which preceded his accession to the presidency, and striven to resolve same, Nana Akufo-Addo takes responsibility for nothing that happens, even in the party he purports to lead. President Mahama took responsibility for the power challenges that we witnessed some time ago and acted to address it, and the results are there for all to see. In a shocking twist, Nana Akufo-Addo claimed to be unaware that President Mahama took responsibility to fix the power shortages. He appears to be the only stranger in Jerusalem, despite having been firmly ensconced in the public gallery for the entire duration of the President's State of the Nation address in 2015, in which the following words were uttered to the hearing of all and sundry. I, quote, I, John Dramani Mahama, will fix this power crisis, unquote. I believe all of you were there, and you heard the president loud and clear in 2015. That is a man who takes responsibility. That is a leader who takes responsibility and takes action to deal with the challenges. This behavior would appear to confirm speculations and pictures making the rounds in sessions of the social media that Nana does of at some point during the important address by the president, because that is the only reason which can account for his position that President Mahama did not take charge, or he did not accept the responsibility.
Meanwhile, the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, one of the civil society groups accused by the NDC of conniving with the MPP, has called Mr. Asare Nketia's assertion bogus. Head of Research and Programs and Deputy Director Dr. Franklin Odro says the comments are unfair.
First of all, I think this is a bogus allegation. There is no basis of that accusation. There is no factual accuracy to what the General Secretary was referring to. The Afrobarometer survey that we all know, I must say that the NDC itself has used the Afrobarometer in the past when they were in opposition. Doesn't mean that they manufactured CDD as their NGO for us to do that survey. I think it is not fair, it is not proper. This is a study that is being conducted in 36 African countries, a study that has its methodology well tested, a study that international institutions, the World Bank, the UNDP, Mo Ibrahim Index, the Transparency International, other reputable organizations are using the data collected in all these 36 African countries as a basis. to do their own analysis. And if Mr. Chedin Katia is saying that study, the Afro-Barometer study, is concocted, then I don't know where it's coming from. I think it's important that politicians and political figures in this country learn to use the right language and learn to respect institutions that are contributing to the development of this country.
Right, so we're not done with the back and forth about the State of the Nation address and who presented a more credible account. Former President Kufuor also has his own views, and we'll be bringing you his views right after this break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, Monday's presentation by the flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party on the actual state of affairs in Ghana has continued to fuel the debate about what the true state of the nation is. While some believe President Mahama's address last Thursday captured the state of affairs, others are of the opinion Nana Akufo-Addo provided a more realistic update on the country's situation. Former President Kufuor, however, says Ghanaians would ultimately decide who they believe when they go to the polls on November 7. He spoke exclusively to Joy News' Beatrice Edu on the sidelines of the launch of the West African think tank network here in Accra.
The real power of the land is in the people. The people are the sovereign authority, and they vote, meaning the delegates that their power or authority through the votes. I mean, selecting people to go into government, to go and do the things that will better the people generally.
Now,
so if they do the vote and give the power to you to be, say, president or parliamentarian, you must never forget that you are only the representative of the people generally.
Talking about that, just last Thursday, the president had the State of the Nation address, and he patted himself on the back for doing so well. Others disagree with him. As a former president of this country, what do you make of the State of the Nation address?
That's not the subject we are talking about today, and don't let me talk about it. The president is the servant of the people. If he has done the good work for the people and it's in his conscience that he did well for the people, he can talk about that. But it should be left with the people as the principals, the master, the servant, to look around and decide for themselves whether what the president has reported on meets their expectations of the president. And they would show it in a regulated way. That's why we go to vote. The people would then decide as the final authority whether they are pleased with what the president said or whether they are not pleased.
But do you have an opinion?
Naturally, everybody should have an opinion.
What is your view?
That one, look, the item, the slogan, that the vote is secret has meaning. What I think is in my preserve, in my personal authority to see, and at the right time I show my vote.
The former president at the launch program urged Ghanaians and other citizens of West Africa to demand accountability from their government and use their power to elect good leaders. Former President Kufuor also asked governments to be responsible.
It seems even as the leadership of West Africa talk the need for the economic community, and with that also the political and social community of West Africa, even as we talk it, there's a lack of commitment, a lack of resolution on the part of the leaders who should be driving this mission to get all of West Africa to become a common unit for economic and social development, to better the lives of our peoples. That commitment is not there. And so the first thing is for those of us committed to influence and also motivate the drive for the realization of West Africa as a unit to do is how to influence leadership across political and ideological divisions. We shouldn't pretend West Africa is a uniform and homogeneous entity. It's not. If you look at, say, Nigeria, huge in population, huge in resources, even in tribes, very huge. Some of the tribes are more nations than just administrative entities in their country. But it should be for think tanks and people who see the advantage of West Africa unifying to do everything they can to get leadership, to show sincerity and commitment towards realizing the ECOWAS vision.
He said African leaders should institute policies that would ensure the sub-region stops being the dumping ground for foreign goods. Speaking at the same program, Executive Director of the IEA, Jean Mensah, highlighted the need for the think tank at this time.
The problem has been long dragging. I will tell you perhaps
we intend to engage them, and at this workshop and at this conference today we have representatives from all the regional bodies, the WAMU, the ECOWAS, the AU, the Africa Development Bank and so on here, and these are senior representatives, senior officials from these bodies, and they all recognize the gap. I think that they all recognize that there's a gap, there's a need to have sustained research, evidence-based research to address some of the challenges that they need. And therefore they are present here because they are also relying on us. They recognize there's a need, they have a need, and they would require us to undertake evidence-based research and provide them with the findings of those research, some of the proposals for their consideration, so that when they have meetings with the leaders of the respective countries, they would be able to provide proposals based on research.
The alleged killer of late Ibuakwa North MP Joseph Wachidankwa has complained to a magistrate court about ill treatment meted out to him whilst in custody of the BNI. The suspect, Daniel Isiedu, claims he has been confined to a box-like cell and is only allowed to come out when he wants to use the washroom or take his bath. He also alleged that the security officers do not allow him to engage other inmates and has complained several times without any positive response. The suspect made this known when he appeared in court on Tuesday. Now, responding to the issues raised by the suspect, the prosecution told the court they were hearing the matter for the first time and would want to investigate it and take appropriate steps to correct it. Mr. Isiedu was arrested a few days after the MP for Ibuakwa North was murdered at his home at Shiashi in Accra. The suspect is alleged to have confessed to stabbing the late MP. Meanwhile, the judge has asked the police to ensure the suspect is not kept in solitary confinement and has also asked that his rights be protected. Meanwhile, a science teacher, Gifty Chuma has won parliamentary primaries in the Ibuakwa North constituency to represent the New Patriotic Party in an upcoming by-election. The by-election will elect a replacement for the late MP Joseph Wachidankwa, who was murdered some weeks ago. Gifty Chuma, who is the Eastern Region President of the Ghana Science Teachers Association, polled 207 of the votes to beat her closest contender, Isaac Osei, who managed to secure 104 votes. The third aspirant, Che Brobe, obtained 27 votes. Two other contestants dropped out on voting day in a move believed to have favored the eventual winner. There's some good news to share from Maoko Girls Senior High School in Ho, which Joy News reported on Monday was grappling with water supply issues. That, according to the headmistress, has been resolved. But that's just one problem solved for now, because the school also has a problem with infrastructure, as a result of which some of the students are studying in uncompleted structures. The authorities say they are compelled to use the uncompleted structures because contractors working on Get Fund projects on the campus have abandoned the sites, and work has since stalled on these projects. Joy News' Barima Osei Asare visited the school and came through with this report.
Maoko Girls Senior High School is one of 3 public second cycle schools in the Volta regional capital, Ho. At first glance at the school's gate, it looks like all is well, but the school is battling with numerous challenges. There are not enough classrooms to accommodate the student population of over 1,700. Construction works on a project that consists of classrooms, science labs, and home economics department funded by the Get Fund have stalled, and the contractor has left site due to lack of funds. This development has compelled the school's management to improvise with classrooms under the uncompleted structures. Some classes are being held in the dining hall, where students have to partition it to suit their use after each meal. The dormitory facilities are also inadequate for the over 1,000 boarding students, leading to overcrowding. Only 2 teachers are accommodated on campus to monitor activities of the students during non-classes hours because there are no facilities to accommodate more teachers. Meanwhile, a 2-bedroom semi-detached staff bungalow funded by the Get Fund is at the finishing stages. When completed, it will accommodate 4 teachers.
To elevate, especially the home economics block that's supposed to serve as a lab for them, a home econ center for them, the science lab that is also under construction. Then the dormitory we are assured that that project will be completed by September, October. That was why we absorbed all the girls that were given to us. But at the moment, nobody has come, no contractor has come, because the contract was supposed to be re-awarded so that to complete the contract so that the girls can move in. And if that project is completed, there will be enough space for the girls. And also, we don't have bungalows for our teachers. The headmistress, for instance, is not on campus. It's only 2 female teachers who are taking care of these over 1,000 girls here.
The school science lab is virtually empty, equipped with few practical apparatus. This has forced teachers to teach more theory than practical science. A chemistry teacher, James Aglo, lamented on the situation.
In Maoko Girls Senior High. In fact, for the science, it's a very big challenge to us because the major problem we have here, we have the staff all right, but the lab, we don't have lab, inadequate. We have only this as a lab, 1 lab for all the aspects, which is not equipped. So, and then when you look at the lab that we have in, the number of students that we have per class, it becomes difficult for you even to conduct any meaningful experiments.
The ICT lab of the school is fortunate to be furnished with some computers, but the ICT tutor, Ernest Jamposo, says they need more to facilitate ICT education.
Yes, you will see that there's a challenge of them, everybody having the chance to use the internet. So when they are crowded like that, then the room becomes what? Heat up. We need air conditions, we need more furniture, we need other computer accessories to replace those that are malfunctioning.
Most of the teachers congregate under this tree as their common room because the staff common room cannot accommodate the 100 teachers. School authorities say they have enough land, appealing for stakeholder support to develop to address the infrastructural challenges. A report by Barima Osei Asare.
You're also watching Joy News Prime. Still to come, former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, Professor Stephen Ade, in his assessment of Ghana after 59 years of independence, as a country has failed to develop less than a quarter of its potential. Up next, we bring you business news. All right, so it's time now for business, and Emmanuel is here to give us the details. Well, one of the stories which was headlined has to do with Barclays Bank eventually saying that they actually are selling off
Africa.
They're selling off their Africa business.
Yes,
I'm sure people who are watching, our viewers who have accounts with Barclays, will be
certainly be
wondering
worried.
what's going to be happening. What's going to be happening to them, and you're going to be giving us all the details, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, people are already worried. I mean, why Barclays Bank has finally decided to exit, and customers of the bank in Ghana are equally or are more worried because they don't know what will happen to them, as well as staff of the bank.
I can imagine. I can see George Riafe standing by. I believe he's joining us on set to share a bit more. So you're going to be having a chit-chat with him on so what is he, the new Barclays expert?
Right, yes, he's been working on the story for some time, so he's going to give us the details. But meanwhile, let me just give an intro to it. After months of speculations, Barclays Bank PLC has confirmed it is moving out of Africa. The bank disclosed this today when it released its financial results for 2015. So to throw more light on this particular development, George Riafe, business correspondent, has joined me on set to tell us more. George, what is the main reason behind this decision to move out?
Well, Barclays PLC, that is the bank located in the UK, is trying to do some restructuring of its operations in Africa and around the world. And you know that, for instance, today, when they released their financials, they posted over £300 million loss, or recorded a loss. So basically, they're seeing how they can restructure the operations. And that is why they are scaling back investments in certain areas. And Africa has been a major casualty here. They have about 62% in this whole subsidiary called Barclays Africa, which Barclays Ghana reports to as its parent company. They are trying to sell 62% stake in Barclays Africa. And
you know what, but I'm more interested in the implications on the operations of the bank here in Ghana. I mean, what's going to happen to customers as well as staff of the bank?
Well, when you speak to Barclays Africa, the chief executive, Maria Ramos, is saying that, listen, over the years, since 2013, this subsidiary called Barclays Africa, Barclays Ghana has been reporting to this subsidiary. So this is just a shareholding structure that will change. It will be business as usual. Nothing will change in terms of their operations going forward, and everything is intact. So if you are a customer of Barclays Bank, don't be worried, because it will be business as usual. Nothing will change. The parent company that is in Barclays Africa, Barclays PLC, is looking for a suitor. Maybe be it you who go ahead and make that purchase with a 62%. Fine.
I wish I could get that money to purchase it. But is the Barclays brand, going to eventually change, or alter in any way when the suitor assumes office?
Well, for now, it is still work in progress. But what we have picked up from the investors or some senior officials at Barclays Ghana is that, well, it looks like nothing will change. It will be business as usual for now. They might still continue to use the brand Barclays until finally there's a new person in and it says that, okay, listen, maybe this is Citibank who's doing this acquisition. So change Barclays Africa to Citibank Africa, and maybe that might change. But don't forget, it's a process subject to the various regulators in all the markets, including Ghana as well as UK.
All right, thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, George, for that update, and we look forward in the next few days to see what will happen. That was George Riafe. Now, still in the banking industry, the managing director of GCB Bank Limited, Simon Donu, is to exit the bank after his 6-year tenure is set to end on March 3 this year. In a press release, the bank stated that Mr. Donu led the executive management team of GCB to transform the bank and reposition it, making it one of the best performing banks in the country. It said the board, management and staff of GCB Bank are privileged to have worked closely with him to propel the bank to its current status, and wish to express their profound gratitude to him for his period of dedicated service to the bank. Now, in his absence, Chief Operating Officer Samuel Sapong will be acting as Managing Director as the board begins steps to replace Mr. Donu. All right, now moving on. The Trade Ministry and the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, will meet tomorrow to deliberate over concerns relating to high taxes. Activity in the Central Business District was crippled today when GUTA members in Okaishi and other areas shut their stores at the start of a third-day strike to protest new taxes by government. They say the high taxes and others in relation to the ECOWAS sub-region are crippling their businesses. Meanwhile, some small businesses in Accra Central Business Districts are taking advantage of the strike by wholesale shop owners. Joy Business checks indicate the tabletop traders are recording a boom in sales.
It's day two since the Joint Consultative Forum began their strike yesterday, and we're here to ascertain the situation, whether or not their shops are opened. And as you can see, what they call the tabletop traders are taking advantage of the situation. It's 11 Tuesday morning and all shops remain closed here at Okanshi. The strike, which began yesterday, saw most of the shops at the business district and Obuso Okan spare parts hub closed. The exercise continued today and due to end tomorrow for the leadership to meet to consider the next line of action on Thursday. The wholesale traders insist their shops will remain closed until government addresses their concerns and disagree they are the losers if the strike persists.
No, government is losing because we make the government who he is. If we don't pay tax or when we don't buy and sell and pay tariff, where does government get money to do all he wants to do? All right. So even the drivers pay, they also do pay tax. When we don't sell, nobody takes the cars. Nobody takes the cars. And where does he get money to do road wealthy?
Losing, let's say losing, it's not that much for us because we are united and we are facing something. We want to achieve something. In terms of we don't send any money to the bank, how will the people survive as well? Especially pay the tax. How can you get your tax? So we just need the government to just reduce it a while, just something, so that we can survive with it. And then if the next budget, the other one can be implemented, that's fine.
Tabletop traders here are, however, taking advantage of the situation. They have increased their prices and Auntie Ama is worried about this.
Price na wasoro says also for company for na mi dama any cost into
So we say we turn 13. But it's 15. But the tabletop traders will defend their actions.
Yes, because all the shops have closed and people have traveled far and near to come and buy, and they pay transport to come here. So if they don't get anything, they will go back empty-handed. So I have also taken advantage of and selling.
Store BNT, yeah, kakra, fine. And no more BND, no market near fine. Then they buy me coffee BNT. I feel now, measure the Becoso.
Into your the sell more to shop no man.
And Yamin Dana, send Yaban and tea.
Also take advantage.
Any day.
It appears the situation is unlikely to change until government meets the demands of the traders, including the reduction in taxes and the utility tariffs.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the striking traders in the capital is raising concerns against what it deems unwarranted interference by some security officials in protest against numerous taxes, among others. George Ofori is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA.
We have given directives that we will meet on Thursday to evaluate, assess the situation and see the way forward. Meanwhile, let me issue a sign of caution to the AMA and the police who are going around asking people to open their shops. If they have been asked or been assigned to go and protect life and property, their core mandate should be that. But going around telling people to open their shops, are they the very people who contracted loans for these people to work with? No. If it's no, then they should please go according to the directives given to them by their officers. They have not given anybody any loan to trade with or to do business with. So we are please asking them to stay within the confines of their own assignment that have been given to them.
Local printers are making a case for fair trade practices in their latest call for the removal of import taxes imposed on their raw materials. According to the printers, the taxes, which range between 28% and 40%, have made locally produced books more expensive than the imported ones, which are tax-free. President of the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, James Appiah-Beku, explains to Joy Business they can never compete with the importers if the situation persists.
Free enterprise, I believe in free trade, I believe in competition, but I also believe that he who demands equity must come with free hands. the reason my colleague was talking about unfair trade practices is partly because the root of the law that allows books to come into the country free of taxes and levies is the Florence Convention. And the Florence Convention states that all books into the country should be free of taxes and levies. At the inception of VAT in 1998, thereabout, this law was not tampered with. However, instead of making inputs for production of books enjoy the same regime that finished books enjoy, raw materials did not get that kind of leverage, did not get that kind of opportunity to enjoy the same law that finished books enjoy. And this has been the point of contention between local producers and book importers.
And that's all in business for tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji-Riafe.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. And the Vice President of Imani, Ghana, Kofi Bento, says the 1992 Constitution stands in direct opposition to a bill introduced by government seeking to listen in on private conversations. Speaking at Joy Firm's Thought Leadership Forum on the bill, the legal practitioner maintains all those security agencies under the 2008 terrorism law can obtain a warrant to intercept communications. The new bill removes the need for the court's permission.
For the period since the Procurement Act was passed, somehow the people who implement it find a way to almost sole source everything. I'm just giving you the point that when people think we are conjecturing and we are being paranoid that this is going to be misused, I can give you many examples of how things like this have been misused. So my point is this: technology does not allow you to do some of the things that are being purported today. Number two, the people who really want to commit crimes will find a way that you can meet them with a law like this. In effect, the effect and the impact of this law is going to be against law-abiding citizens and disruptive against the people who you actually do not want to target for this purpose. Therefore, the only thing this law can do is to enable the persons who want to use it to attack people who are not intended for this law. And if you see where I'm going and you see the interpretation that is put on tampering, you can imagine that journalists, political opponents, civil society activists, and other such people will become the people who will pay for this kind of law.
But Deputy Interior Minister James Agaga refuted the claims, insisting the bill will enable national security effectively deal with crime.
For the bill to be described in such terms as a spy bill, it baffles me, and I would take pains to try to give the justification and the rationale for the formulation of the bill, I mean, in the first place. And so I would start with the supreme law of the land, the 1992 Constitution, and that is the basis, that is the foundation of the bill. And I am happy that so far all the arguments that have been made, including Nanado's statement, has not in any way impugned the constitutionality or otherwise of the bill. All the statement seeks to achieve is to label the bill as a spy bill. If it were, I mean, in simple terms, we would be saying that then the provisions in the Constitution, notably Article 18, have been violated. But thankfully, that is not the argument that Nanado made, apart from suggesting that the bill seeks to give unfettered discretion to the authorities, to the system, to monitor telephone conversation and to access postal packets, etc.
Well, Executive Director of the Data Protection Commission, Teki Akwete Falconer, describes the bill as weak and therefore subject to abuse.
if you juxtapose this vis-a-vis the provisions, in fact, if you look at all the provisions in Chapter 25, and if you look at the entire Constitution, looking at the powers given to the executive, Article 83, that also establishes the the National Security Council, where it gives the executive or the National Security Council powers to look at both internal and external securities in this country. You realize that we are, by this legislation, trying to take away that right of the courts. And it's very important that in order to be able to position this within the framework of the Constitution, to just make sure that some of these excesses are looked at.
Some ex-soldiers who have sued the Ghana Armed Forces over alleged deductions of their gratuities are asking government to set up a committee of inquiry to investigate what they say is recurring fraud in the system. More than 650 soldiers who retired last year are in court demanding the payment of up to 25,000 cedis each, which they say was fraudulently deducted from their gratuity. Today, the Accra High Court adjourned the case to next 2 weeks. John Kwesing is lawyer for the ex-soldiers.
Matter is straightforward. You took my name to government. For example, WO1s, each of them was supposed to receive 85,000 Ghana cedis. Now the government says, okay, give every WO1s in Ghana 85,000. The government was willing and gave out those monies. Now the monies have gotten to the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces, and you give me 60,000. The question is, where is the remaining 25,000? And I have told you, they number well over 1,000. And mind you, let it be on record, this is not the first time that has been the culture. But the 1988-89 group said, no, we will never sit for this to continue. As I speak to you, at least we have chalked some successes. Heads have rolled over there. As I speak to you, never again will they send money through them. The monies will go directly into the account of the retired soldiers. So at least you can see we have chalked some successes.
Look about setting up a committee so that then what do you expect that such a committee would look into and make what kind of recommendations subsequently?
They should find out where those monies are. That is all. Okay, and if it went to wrong hands, wrong pocket, the government will make them pay. And that is as easy as that.
So the suspicion is actually that someone may have squandered the money which belongs to these soldiers.
Exactly the point. But as to who took those monies, they have no idea.
Spokesperson for the retired soldiers ex-warrant officer Samuel Dakwa says the leadership is struggling to calm the agitated colleagues.
We know what happened here is technical, and we have spoken to, as leaders, we have spoken to our group that they should calm down and then ask, and when it is needed, we shall be called.
Yeah. But obviously, it's been more than a year, your money hasn't been paid and all of that. It's obviously affecting the lives of yourself and your members, isn't it?
For that one, yes. Even though it's not up to 1 year yet, it has taken some months. And every day and night we think about it. So I will be very glad if the government...
An actor, Abraham Atta, is trending on social media for all the right and wrong reasons. He's won a couple of awards, but an article going around social media has people talking about who merits celebrity status, among other things, including whether he should relocate to America or not. Now, we will attempt to straighten it all out in the interactive segment on Joy News Prime with me, Ifwa Akwara Harrison. Ijo, back to you.
All right, certainly looks like a loaded one, and there's every reason why you should stay for that. We also have entertainment and sports coming up in the second hour. Please stay tuned. Right, a quick run through our headlines now. And 3 teacher unions agitating over salary arrears have called off a planned strike. The National Democratic Congress has hit back at the flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party on his True State of the Nation address, asserting he has no moral right to criticize government. Well, former President Kufuor says Ghanaians will ultimately decide on November 7 who they believe as far as what the actual state of the nation is. In business, Barclays Bank confirms it is selling off its Africa business. Now, Ghana has failed to develop less than a quarter of its potential as an independent country. The nation is wallowing in poverty and the number of people suffering hardships have reached alarming proportions. That is the verdict of former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adey. As Ghana prepares to mark 59 years of independence, Kwabena Wusu has this special report.
It was a day ordinary Ghanaians celebrated to mark freedom from the colonial masters.
Yes, it was a very exciting day for all of us, and we enjoyed ourselves. And we were all being told and believed that we had a bright, good future.
But were these hopes and aspirations realized? It will be 59 years on March 6 since Ghana gained independence.
At long last, the battle has ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
These words ushered Ghana into a journey of self-governance and a determination to develop the motherland. How far have we come towards achieving this goal? Professor Stephen Adey is an economist and former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA.
We have not realized even a quarter of our potential, and it's quite sad. The amount of suffering that the average Ghanaian faces today is far more than at the time of independence.
Former Secretary to First President Kwame Nkrumah, KB Asante, blames the lack of development partly an unsustainable expenditure.
We should suffer a little, just as in your little family circle. If things are bad, you don't just go on living as you were doing before. When I was young, I believed that every civilized person should drink whiskey at sundown when sun goes down before he relaxes. Now, but if you find that whiskey is too expensive, you either cut it down, stop it altogether.
Ghana is ages behind the likes of Malaysia and Singapore that started their development agenda around the same time. Can we catch up? Professor Adey tells me it must start with putting Ghana first and reining in corruption.
I'm looking forward to a head of state who will come and say, look, yes, I'm elected by NDC, I'm elected by MPP, but during my time, it is Ghana first. The partisanship is getting worse. So that, for example, when it comes to finance, again, it is easy to identify 10 Ghanaians from all the political areas whom you say, hey, this is our country. What best can we do it?
Kwame Nkrumah professing our newfound freedom. Perhaps we are free from the colonial masters, but are we free from our self-inflicted economic shackles? For Joy News, Kwabena Wusu.
And you can expect a few more of such reports, special features marking our Ghana month here at Joy News. Now, some delegates of the New Patriotic Party at the Klotik-Koli constituency in Accra on Tuesday staged a protest asking defeated parliamentary aspirant Ni Noy Norte to go independent in the 2016 election. The supporters accused the winner of the primary, Philip Addison, and his team of destroying the party rather than helping it win power in 2016. The Dabraka polling station secretary Maxwell Asamoah has been speaking to the news team.
Youth of Adabraka are grieved as to how MPP as a party is treating some of us. And we are all here because of Nino Norte. Nino Norte is one person who has been loved so much by every youth in Adabraka. Nino Norte won our first election that was held in August 2nd. We knew that everything was set for us to win 2016 election. Nino Norte was grieved. Why? Because when we started the election, as in the just ended election, it was supposed to be started at 8 o'clock, but this election started somewhere at 6 something. You understand? Which for which me, myself, and my friends gathered here, we are not happy about. We want Nino Norte to know that we are in support of him. Whatever decision he takes, by us we are here now. We want him to understand that we want him to go into independent. Okay? So that everybody in Adabraka, not even Adabraka and Osu, our research that we did tells us that Nino Norte is the only person who could win the seat for MPP. But it seems MPP does not want that seat. So we will go independent and win the seat for ourselves.
If the leaders fail to listen to you, what will be your next line of action?
That is why we are going to advise ourselves. We will advise ourselves. We are giving them 3 options. It's either they give us a rerun, we go to independent, or they should forget.
Right now, the news, a meeting scheduled by the Ashanti Region Security Council to brief the Kumasi Traditional Council on the recent outbreak of violence at Tafo, and the clashes between Fulani herdsmen and indigents in Agogo has been called off for the 2nd time. Joining sources say the briefing was cancelled at the instance of the REDSEC because the regional police commander indicated he was away on official duties in the Brahafo regional capital, Sunyani. The cancellation came after the newly appointed regional minister Alexander Akon had briefed journalists on Tuesday afternoon about the REDSEC meeting. Now, Lava Firm's Erastus Asare Donko has some more detail or the very latest update on this particular story, and he joins us on the line. Good evening to you, Erastus. What's the very latest as far as this meeting is concerned?
2 issues that hinges directly on the interest of people in the Ashanti region right now, and that is the Agogo Fulani menace, and then the Tafo issue, which is hanging for now. So people have been trying to find out what the security agencies, and for that matter, REDSEC, is doing in that direction. Now, the first attempt by the chiefs to call the members of the REDSEC to brief them on what they were going to do about these 2 issues. An excuse was given by the outgone regional minister, Peter Nefi, that he has been assigned by the president, and so they could not make it. Now, today, they were supposed to brief the Kumasi Traditional Council again, and the new regional minister, that is Alexander Akon, announced it, that they were meeting the chiefs right away. But then, the last minute, the was called off, and I've learned through my sources that this time around, DCOP Kofi Boakye says he has a duty in Sinyane, and so he cannot make it. Now, today happens to be the day that Otumpo was returning from his private visit to South Africa. And so scores of people from Agogo and Tafo, clad in red and black, came to the airport to meet Otumpo and to present a petition to him that they are not happy with the way the Agogo and Tafo issues have been handled. They want an end to hostilities there, and they want Otumpo to champion that cause by saying something, engaging in an action that will urge the security agencies to do the right thing and get justice for them.
All right, thank you very much, Erastus, Lava Firm's Erastus Asare Donko, bringing us the update on the supposed meeting that should have taken place by the Kumasi Traditional Council. Well, the Turkish president is promising to partner Ghana to fight terrorism. At a joint news briefing earlier today, visiting Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Ghana is a trade partner and a friend.
Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Mahama'ya ve tüm Gana halkına, şahsıma ve heyetime gösterilen misafirperverlik için şükranlarımı sunuyorum.
And I would like to extend my gratitude not only to His Excellency President Mr. Mahama, my friend, but also the people of Ghana for having shown the most generous welcome to not only me, but also all the members of my delegation. Ghana is the first African state who has declared independence in the year 1957 within the sub-Saharan region. And the beacon of freedom which was ignited here in very Ghana had cascaded down to other countries in the region. And Ghana still stands today as a source of inspiration, not only with her robust and well-established democracy, but also its political and social stability, its peaceful foreign relations, and its diplomacy, a very active role in diplomacy. And Ghana happens to be one of our closest friends in Western Africa. And we are turning the tide in terms of our mutual relations in recent times. Ghana is perceived to be our development partner.
Hedeflerimiz siyasi, askeri, ekonomik, kültürel, ticari bütün bu alanları kapsayacak şekildedir.
And mutual cooperation shall encompass areas such as political, economic, trade, cultural, and diplomatic.
President Mahama in this part calls for more collaboration in scholarships, especially for girls in science and technology.
In the area of education, Turkey has traditionally offered scholarships to Ghana, and in the bilateral discussions we held, these 15 scholarships are going to be increased by 20 to come to 35 scholarships, and we have agreed that these will be targeted at brilliant but needy students, and also targeted especially at girls, and would be targeted for students who wish to study, especially in the area of science and technology.
Mm-hmm. Up next, we bring you entertainment with Miss G.
Entertainment news is brought.
Time now for entertainment, and all right, it's our own entertainment correspondent and celebrity blogger and everything else, who's actually in the news today.
I am in the news.
Actually.
I've been trending since last night.
But that means you're really famous. Because,
well,
yeah, for people to be talking about you, for your stuff about you to be out there, it means you're a celebrity.
Well, I would have been so glad if people were talking about me for the very good reasons,
No. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be for good reasons.
Just like they did with the Yaosika story, and still held me in that faith through this one. I would have been so grateful.
No. It doesn't have to do with whether you're in for wrong reasons or the bad reasons or the good reasons. As a celebrity, anything you do makes news.
Well, if you are the senior celebrity, so if you tell me so, I agree then.
Nope. All right. So what's actually happening? Because we're told that you probably said something that people have found offensive.
Okay, so that's what happened. I do the entertainment news on Joy FM with Lexus Bill. And so yesterday was on air with Lexus. We're talking about Barima Osei at the Oscars, just as we did here yesterday on television. And his acceptance speech at the Spirit Awards, where he was thanking a lot of people. And so just as he said, thank you to the people, when I was done with the news with Lexus, I said in Barima Osei's voice or way, said, thank you, just like the way he said thank you. And Lexus said to me, thank you. And somebody felt that was in bad taste. So a blogger spent time.
All right. So typically, there's something we'll typically do, and like we're trying to be mischievous, or ridiculing people. Not really, going out there to make them look bad. But
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Because in my case, I was the first person to grant this young man an interview on television. Multimedia is the only broadcasting station or company he's spoken to in Ghana. And I did Joy News Story. And so there's no way I'll badmouth the little one. So it was bad to hear people, talking about it left, right, center. So,
but people are offended. And what I also suspect is that whoever put together, apparently it's all coming from a blogger.
Exactly.
Maybe he didn't quite understand, or he didn't hear what actually went down. And so, he started something and people have found it offensive. But
so for me, it's a joke gone bad, seriously. Of course, if the people who you're asking to consume something do not think that it's appropriate enough, what do you do? I'm sorry if I offended people by saying thank you, just like Abraham said it.
So apparently you have an apology.
Yes, I have an apology on my Facebook page.
It means we have to share this on the Joy News page.
Platform as well,
so Lord, please share this on the Joy News page so everybody else can see Miss G's apology. So let me just, you read it since...
Okay, so there's it. After being the first to interview Barima Osei on TV, Joy News on Multi TV in Ghana, I bask in his glory, knowing how hard this young man had worked to attain this height. I wonder what I stand to gain by mocking him. Well, I read 2 stories on him on Drive Time on Joy yesterday with Lexus Bill, and jokingly reiterated his thank you. Guess that didn't go down well with a lot of people, hence the story you read today. I apologize to anyone who was offended by my action. It was just a joke gone bad. I'm grateful to all who have stood with me through this. God bless you all. So that's my post on Facebook.
And God bless you too, Miss G, for being magnanimous enough to apologize. What else is coming up in the news apart from you?
Oh no, apart from me, Barima Osei is still in the news, and this time around is our own president, President John Dramani Mahama, who has tweeted congratulating Barima Osei because you know Toms will be giving us 10,000 pairs of shoes, you know, and so President Mahama thinks that we need a lot more of Barima Osei in Ghana. So he's tweeting congratulating the young man and saying that a lot more of him in Ghana will do for us, you know.
Well, yeah, it's true, but okay. After I saw the tweets, there have been a couple of other tweets.
A couple of other tweets.
On the back of this one.
Okay, referring to what he had tweeted.
Well, yeah, okay, I recall one tweet where one guy said, I think I see what you're trying to do here. Essentially, they're suggesting that he's trying to take credit for, you know.
And then you also posted a mischievous one, but we aren't talking about that one.
I did?
Yes, you did. Okay, so why is that blog, guys? Check Israel's page and pick that story anyway. Okay, so there's been a lot more tweet for the man, Barima Osei, and also we had...
He's actually been trending.
Yes, he has been trending. Of course, he's done us proud. You know, Yvonne Okoro went on Instagram. She posted that, look, this young man has done them proud. You know, yesterday I said that the things that these people have not been able to do, he has done. And of course, she said that, you know, they thought it was impossible, but he's made them realize how possible it is to live the dream of getting to the Oscars. They are so proud of him. Then again, Leila Jansen tweets and goes on Facebook and says that, you know, let this guy be taken out of Ghana because his career cannot be sustained in Ghana. Well, we're curious to find out why she thinks that Barima Osei's career cannot be sustained here in Ghana. So we spoke to her on Hits FM.
It's 2 particular reasons, and the first one will be that he's a child. He's from Africa. He's black. He has an accent. Diamond Honsu has an accent. Lupita Nyong'o has an accent. Now, this is a problem in Hollywood. Nobody writes roles for people like us who have accents. I mean, they're not even writing roles for black people. So the roles that are available that he would get are very few and far between. So if he is here, he could probably get like endorsements, commercial, guest star on TV shows, and that will keep him relevant. The thing is that Hollywood is very fickle. It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, so after this post by Leila Jansi, she got Sonny Badu, gospel musician Sonny Badu, also saying that, yes, take him out of Ghana, otherwise we'll kill him with blah, 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 blah. That's what he posted also on Instagram.
Okay, so I also saw that post, actually, and I shared it on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And there's been quite some commentary going on there. There are people who disagree, and they disagree vehemently. They think that, why not? I mean, he made it in Ghana, and is likely to stay. I mean, he could even make it even bigger in Ghana. But I tend to agree with what Leila said, which is, it's essentially, he's emerging in Hollywood. I mean, he's getting access in Hollywood.
Yeah.
If he stays here in Ghana...
and he doesn't get roles.
Who's going to give him roles? Are they going to give him roles to play alongside...
They're coming for you.
Okay.
They're coming for you.
So
let's take him out of Ghana.
He should, he should stay there. Because he has an agent,
yeah,
a US agent,
yeah, true,
who's working on her behalf, and I believe that she's going to do
got
great,
fantastic deals for him. You know, yeah.
So, I mean, like these Toms. 10,000 toms that's coming
huge.
to
And you know how he says he's the first person that was made for customized. Oh my goodness. Abraham, stay out there and enjoy all the goodies that comes with being a celebrity.
All right, so this is what I posted.
Okay.
And so I was saying another one from Leila Fuajansi. I think she makes a good point about why Abraham Atta stands a better chance of making it if he relocates to the US. In fact, her post only goes to buttress the point made by Pastor Mensa Otabil about how the poisonous environment in Ghana has snuffed out many dreams and could kill Abraham's too.
Hashtag Israelite. So this is positive story. That's great, you know.
I mean, we love Abraham Atta.
We do love him.
And we wish him the very best. We wish that he's going to succeed.
I wonder who would wish him the best at this point in time, when he's selling Ghana all over the place, you know. Nigerians are talking about him, you know. Everybody's talking about the young man Abraham Atta, and we are grateful to God for his life.
And by the way, all this happened during the regime of President
That's
John
the mysterious one I was talking about that he posted.
No, you don't believe that? It's true. It's a fact.
What did he say?
I'm saying that Abraham Atta went to the Oscars to make a presentation during the time of President John Mahama.
Okay, well done.
I mean, this is something that should have actually been included in the State of the Nation address.
This is evidence-based, like you said, you know. He should have been at the State of the Nation address. Anyway, thank you for having me, Israel. It's an Abraham Atta bulletin, actually.
Yeah, you know. Thank you very much for coming, too. You know, you're in the news and you're here. I'm so privileged.
I am trending, you know.
So thanks very much, Ms. G, for entertainment. Up next, we bring you sports.
Entertainment news with...
Right, time for sports, and the man who has love for sports is here. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I can see you're going pinker today.
Well, yeah, there's something about pink they say. I don't know what it is, but you know.
The ladies tell you.
There's pink in your tie.
mine is more blue. Yours is pink. You know what's coming up in sports?
Well, we'll be talking about the performance of Ghanaian clubs in African competition. That's the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup. Well, recently Ashanti Gold were knocked out of the CAF Champions League preliminary stage. So that's how we start off the sports bulletin here on Joy News Prime, as we talk about Ashanti Gold and their recent exit from the preliminary stage of the CAF Champions League. Well, one former Ghana Football Association boss, Lepora MND Jawula, has been speaking about the lack of support from government, which is denying the clubs the opportunity to move into the esteemed money stages of the CAF Champions League.
All governments have not been good to football. I've been saying over and over, when we qualify for Africa, we're among the few countries where governments give absolutely nothing. If governments were even prepared to handle the flights and the hotel accommodation for our clubs that qualify, then our clubs will have money left over for them to pay good bonuses to motivate the players. So there's a lot that is going wrong. There's a lot that we're not getting right. I think that our football authorities should sit with government, spend some time sitting with government, and to avoid quarreling all the time and fighting over unnecessary World Cup money. Let's sit down with government when things are cool and let the government know that this is the difficulty, and let the government put the money where it matters.
We take you straight to the English Premier League because there are some games ongoing and almost half-time, and we quickly take you to the score sheets. Bournemouth is leading Southampton by 1-0. Everton have deepened the woes of Aston Villa, and of course that surely will question the continuous stay of Remy Gard in the at the helm of Aston Villa, who are rooted at the bottom of the English Premier League table. While Leicester City are having a very tough time against the later scores coming from that game between Chelsea and Norwich is that Chelsea are leading by 2-0. A second goal scored by good old Diego Costa. He's stopped all of the fighting, on the pitch, and he's now doing what he's supposed to do on the pitch. From here, let's now focus on some NBA action because the Bucks beat the Rockets by 128 to 121, 7 points difference. All right, so let's talk about the MVP of the NBA, Steve Curry, because he's just doing amazing stuff. We're just going to do an analysis of all of the 3 points that he's done in one single season. I need me some basketball practice. Well, that will be on probably tomorrow or, the next day's edition of the sports segment of Joy News Prime. Thank you very much for watching. There's more on Joy News Prime. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.